365 radio as well, and also their two sister stations, Athena 365 and MyGen 365, and that's huge as well. In fact, Live 365 is the biggest in digital media. So we've got it covered that way. And also, I have clients of mine who air their talk shows on my networks as well. And that is a lot of variety. Variety is the spice. And they're all saying the same thing. You know, they're positive shows about our human consciousness. The actress Dee Wallace, who starred in E.T. the Extraterrestrial, we all loved her performance there. She played Drew Barrymore's mother, actually, at the time, in that great, great film. Well, she's still doing films, and she's augmenting things with a great talk show of her own as well called Conscious Creation. Airs every Thursday on my People of Distinction radio network. So check that out, and I know you have because I know you love it, and thank you for all of the nice words on that as well. I'm published with Chicken Soup for the Soul. Very honored to be. It is a huge book brand, and everybody loves Chicken Soup for the Soul, so I'm happy to be with them. And we're through Simon & Schuster as far as distribution, and Simon & Schuster is with CBS. Keep it in the family that way. We talking family here, people. I want you to stick around. We've got a real family member. He's into everything that I've been talking about. His name is Keith Blanchard, and he's a dynamic spiritual teacher. We love that. We love to get out the message that we are deep creatures and we are spiritual creations. And Keith is going to really share some of the great work that he's doing in that area with you by way of his book. He's the author of The Divine Principle, Anchoring Heaven on Earth. We love that. You know, heaven on earth. The two are not incompatible, people. And you know what? I'll say it this way, and I think Keith will agree once we get into the conversation. You don't need to die to go to heaven. Heaven can be right here on earth, people. We're talking about energy, and that's the way you connect. And there might be a few other ways that Keith will tell us about. He's also a healer, and he's up to speed. He's a wonder in the technique of vibrational medicine. What is that? Well, Keith's going to explain that. So I want you to stick around. This is going to be deep. And vibrational medicine is also called radionics. And we're going to talk to Keith about what that's all about. A lot of our listeners don't know too much about that, so this is going to be an educational experience. He's a musician, composer, sound engineer, bassist, guitarist, and singer as well. Just like Al Cole, this guy is a renaissance man. He's into so many different things, and we're going to be talking a little bit about all of that stuff. So stick around. You're going to love this show. And run to this website, people. Visit Keith at www.thedivineprinciple.us. Again, thedivineprinciple.us. You're going to love what you see there. And I want you to support Keith in everything that he does because he is truly supporting you. Welcome, Keith, to People of Distinction with Al Cole. Really a pleasure to have you on today. How are you today, Keith?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me on your show, Al.
Yeah, this is going to be great. We had a nice chat the other day. We're following up with a show right now. I am totally a believer in the things that you do, and I want you to run it down to my listeners in the way that you know how. Let's start out with your introducing yourself to my listeners, a little bit of your background here, some of your roots, some of the inspirations in your life, maybe when you were growing up, that led to your wanting to take this path in life. Tell us a little bit about Keith.
Well, all of my life, ever since I was a boy, I had a fire, I had a passion, I had a curiosity and a sincerity. I had a very insatiable appetite for knowledge. I wanted to know, what God was, what does He look like, where is it? What is my role in the universe? I had all these big questions. I can remember just being 6 years old, 7 years old, wanting to know where I came from, and I don't necessarily mean our mother and father. What am I doing here? Who am I, and where in the heck am I going?
Yeah.
And little did I realize, though these questions were impatient, these four basic questions actually became the unfoldment of my life. My father, at the age of about 12, put a guitar in my hands And then at about 15, that flip-flopped, and I wanted to go to seminary to be a Catholic priest. And then when I saw what the guitar can do as far as getting girlfriends and getting attention and all those things, especially when the hormonal door is blasted open, God went in the closet for a while. And I lived that whole lifestyle, and because of which I found myself in a 10-year relationship that was going bad. And when she left, I was living in a dark night of the soul. Mm-hmm. And I began to say a prayer out loud to God, saying, I need to hear your voice. Excuse me. And even though I said this prayer for 3 weeks to a month, I don't think it was the length of time that made what was to happen next happen. It's not like I was trying to convince God that it was serious. I think in my very first asking contained all the heart necessary to punch that cosmic, universal, divine door open. And one night after playing music in the morning of about 8 o'clock in the morning, I was literally awakened out of my sleep by a voice, and I was thrown on the bed, and I fell into a divine conscious experience.
Oh, boy. How do you like that? Look at that. And that's a cliffhanger. I love the story, and it is a cliffhanger because we want to know exactly what that divine experience was. But before we get there, the first thing I want to also do is have you give us a reason. We're going to get back into that divine consciousness here. But give us a reason why you wrote your book. And I know it's part of your book right now, The Divine Principle, Anchoring Heaven on Earth. Was it a direct consequence of this experience, or was it something that had to come out because of other experiences that you had?
Fantastic question. I think the Divine Principle was spawned when those 4 basic questions were floating around in my consciousness as a young boy. Mm-hmm. Where did I come from? Why am I here? Who am I? And where am I going? And there was a shorter path. There was absolutely a shorter path, but I wasn't taking it. I was living the lifestyle of a rock and roll musician, pursuing a record career. And that's okay and fine. But it was not allowing me to walk a path peacefully. I was just not seeing all the easier ways to do that. And when that voice spoke to me that morning in June, I never saw it coming, but once it happened, I knew it was supposed to happen. It was part of my divine script. Mm-hmm. At some point, whether I chose this of my own volition or whether I created some events in my life that would put me in a corner and humble me to my knees, God was going to enter the picture one way or the other. Wow. But when that voice spoke, it was an impression, and in this impression was everything it, quote, wanted, if there's such a thing. I could hear the voice. I could smell the voice. I can taste the voice. I can see the voice. I can feel it. It was everything imaginable. And in one very simple idea, it wanted me to sit on my sofa and press record on my tape player and start letting my mouth move. And I said, what will I say? And it says, Keith, trust me, I will be present. Just be willing to do this. And then as I did this, out came volumes of the most far-out material, at least at that point, that I've ever heard. But it's my passion and my compassion and my love for people. I had a sister at a very young age. She was my greatest teacher of compassion. She came onto the planet, and she had an affliction. She had a condition called Friedreich's ataxia, and over a course of her life, her walk became a wobble. Her wobble became confined to a wheelchair and later passed away. But watching my sister and her courage did something to me. It was a gateway for me to humble myself to ever be able to see the face of God.
Isn't that amazing? That is a great rundown. And speaking of running, people, run to this website so you can learn more. TheDivinePrinciple.us. Again, www.TheDivinePrinciple.us. Order this great book. We're just getting into it. The Divine Principle, Anchoring Heaven on Earth. Hey, let's get into it. So, you hear this voice, and it changes everything. You're in another dimension. A lot of my listeners are wondering, what did you think? Did you think that was the voice of God? Or did you think that was the voice of one of God's great messengers? How did you construe that voice?
Well, people often ask me the question, how do you know this is God you are speaking to?
Mm-hmm.
And I reverse the question to make the point even more clear. How can you not?
Uh-huh.
Because there was no room for fear. Not once, I found myself suddenly submersed in this experience. There was no agenda. It wasn't trying to sneak in a back door. I knew that it knew everything I've ever done, but yet there was no shame. There was no guilt. I was not being judged. I was simply just being supported and being loved. And I can feel that in that prompting, in that impression, that one impression, it didn't speak to me linearly. Thoughts that follow thoughts. This spoke to me in what I would call whole thought. And in that whole thought was everything. In that whole thought was the entire 8 years that it was going to take me to write that book.
Mm-hmm.
I felt informationally pregnant.
Yeah.
And the way I would judge, to use a word, what energy I was connecting with every day was by the level of unconditional love inherent in the information that was being given to me.
Wow. That is great. You sparked me here into talking a little bit about my experiences along the same line here, especially as an artist, a writer. My book, The Spirit of Romance, same thing. God talks to us that way. There's a whole passage where God, and my special word for God, Keith, is beauty.
Oh, love it.
Where beauty is speaking to an everyday Joe or Josephine out there. And that everyday Joe or Josephine is consuming all of this wondrous knowledge that he or she has never really consumed before in this way. And it leads up to this beautiful epiphany where, yes, God speaks to us directly. Heaven is on earth. We are one. I mean, we hear this all the time. We're one with God. God is one with us and everything. Well, then why not believe it? Why not internalize it? What happens is that God is among us. God is with us in our consciousness. All we have to do is open up that door. We need to take some alone time first and foremost. We cannot do this stuff with the doorbell ringing and the kids shouting up and down, the television blaring, and waiting for our next spot to come up on our favorite TV show, and the cell phone ringing periodically. Those are diversions, and they're not only diversions for human beings, they're diversions for God. And God will not speak to us directly through those diversions. God is an energy, and God is a very intelligent energy that knows when to speak and when not to speak. That is the question. And we love that. That answer that you're giving is the answer to that question. You were receptive at that point, and that is the beauty of it right there. Am I on the right track here, Keith?
Absolutely. Something I want to support in that you said, your term for God is beauty. Well, I can tell you, and I can validate that in an amazing way. Being a professional musician and playing music nightly, I met with so many people. Keep in mind, I'm doing this 4 or 5 nights a week for many, many years. And your term for God as beauty is when I meet someone for the first time, and I'm introduced, or I just, I have no bones about it. I'll come sit at your table, eat some French fries out of your bowl, and just start having a conversation with you. If I look for something beautiful, something special, something talented, something that I could sit there and appreciate and marvel and salivate at. Yeah. And in my appreciation of that person's beauty, I absolutely kid you not, I literally see God step out of these people and step to the fore. I see God literally walk right out of them in front of my eyes. Yeah. Because I'm focused, I'm relaxed, and I'm actually looking for it. And it reveals itself to me. I've seen this for years.
Mm-hmm.
For years.
And
humility for me.
Yeah, that's a great word.
Humility. Humility is the key that will open the golden door.
Isn't that great? And we're going to get to some vibrational medicine here too, but before we do, I got to bring another dimension into this that I love, and I think that you're on board with this too. because I come from, romance and counseling people that way, and I love men-women relationships. They're beautiful. That's a big part of love, and we know that sometimes we consider that the major part of love, marriage, and the woman that we love, we're a guy, the man that we love, we're a woman, our husband, wife, the boyfriend, the girlfriend, all that stuff. Well, you know what? When we're talking about God, and we shouldn't shrink at all from that G word. When we're talking about God, God is manifested so often in the one that we love. If we're a guy and we look at that woman as the manifestation of God in our life, or better said, man, goddess in our life, I'll tell you, that internalizes us, and we can actually not only kiss her lips as we're accustomed to, now we want to kiss her consciousness as well. Yeah. Whoa, can you imagine that sort of interplay? That is ecstasy itself. Have you ever dealt with that aspect of spirituality, Keith?
I have. I've touched that magical place of letting go to such a point that there is no distinction, no pun intended on people of distinction, but there is literally no split between the consciousness that you share, the amalgamation of one solid androgynous energy, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Very
that
beautiful.
Is so great.
Very powerful.
Absolutely. We're talking to a really powerful guy. I am enjoying this, people, and I know that you are too. On People of Distinction, we have one of the best, Keith Blanchard, dynamic spiritual teacher, as you're saying, and such a great author here. I want you to order this book. You got to do that. The Divine Principle, Anchoring Heaven on Earth, and we're talking it up here. Heaven is on earth, people. And, we need an anchor only because we're not used to it. But, boy, they are really, cosmically, there ain't no anchor needed. It is just a natural here, and Keith knows that he's running it down so naturally. We love this. Run to the website, thedivineprinciple.us, www.thedivineprinciple.us. Find out so much about this, and you're going to just love, just reading that book. It is wonderful material. Keith, let's turn the corner on something else that you're into that we don't hear a lot about. In fact, I don't think I've ever had anybody on my show specifically talking about vibrational medicine. I know where you're coming from. I believe I know, and it makes a lot of sense, but I want you to run it down here. It's also called radionics. What is it all about, Keith?
Back in the year 2000, I went to India by a visitation of a holy man who came to me in sleep. When he brought me to a state of full-blown consciousness, he said, Keith, come to India. My logical mind engages. When will I go? How will I get the money? How am I going to put this together? And he says, Keith, you need to learn to transcend your doubt and disbelief. Mm-hmm. So I woke up the next morning, jumping up and down. I'm going to India. 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from a person I've never met. Hi, Keith, my name is Debbie. We have a mutual friend. I hear you want to go to India to seek out a holy man. Is this true? I said, it is. She says, well, I'm a flight attendant, and I have some companion passes for the year that are about to expire. And I would really hate that, knowing you want to go see your holy man. Can I offer you a round-trip ticket? So, no kidding. So I get aboard this big old plane and travel across the ocean and make it my way to India to actually see the divine walk in a human body. And it was one of the most amazing experiences. I was given a glimpse by the holy man about my life and my future. I was taught this particular program called radionics, or vibrational medicine. Well, first we need to know that everything is energy. Okay, once we understand that, a perfect heart vibrates at a certain frequency. I have a library of cards with these circles within circles and these little bitty lines on them. So basically, we're dealing with energy at a very, very subtle layer. If I'm treating someone for a heart condition, I find the heart card that perfectly matches that condition. I pull out this card, and of course, this card is a static picture. Mm-hmm. Now, what we need to do is activate the energy on this picture. So we insert this card into a machine. The machine has no batteries, it has no electricity. It's made of copper. So as we insert this card into the machine, perfect heart energy is amplified by a magnet that sits on top of the card. So now this copper box is the energy is flowing through this copper box. Perfect heart energy is flowing through this copper box.
Mm-hmm.
And we put sugar pills in the outwell so it can collect the energy. It's not a placebo. You have to give the energy something to bind to. So you can actually take something, goes under your tongue, and as this vibration becomes active in your body because you are made of water, cells begin to divide under this governing influence. It works the same way as a guitar pickup system does. The strings are the information, the cards are the information, the pickups are the magnet which amplifies the signal, so forth and so on. And I had to take a vow when I was at this holy man's ashram that I would never charge money for this program because it works. And in so doing, the intention is not profit. The intention is healing. And I've seen healing happen on many different levels for many different things for many, many years. Wow.
What a great rundown there. And, we're talking about, I'm even going to, I think this applies here when we're talking about vibrations, and we're talking about even altering our body chemistry, brain chemistry, and the body spirit mix here that is, so synergistic. I might have mentioned this to you. I don't know if I did or not, but I just feel that it's a good follow-up on what you're talking about. When I'm out there talking to people, depending on who the people are, one of the things that I will do is I will say, look, take your right hand, approach it to your heart, the biggest electromagnetic area of the body. But before you touch your heart with your right hand, kiss your right hand. Now, that's the unthinkable. I don't think that there are many people who actually think about kissing their own hand, much less kiss their own hand. When one kisses one's own hand, and, then they'll do that, and God, it's like electric. Wow, I'm making a connection between me and me, but even more than that, one is making a connection between that divine energy that is us that you were talking about, and actually the cellular energy that we have that is unique to our body right there. When we do that, we are actually kissing the inside of our body as well as the outside. We can visit the inside, and we don't need a doctor to tell us to do that. We can visit the inside of our body and actually honor, thank, have gratitude for that, maybe that white blood corpuscle that saved our life last night. Well, once we start to have gratitude, once we start to thank, and once we start to just be thankful for being alive at all, our whole body starts to burst forth with that beautiful energy that now makes love with that energy of the universe, and we become that. We become that beautiful energy of the universe that is love and the making love process of love itself. All of this ties in, doesn't it, Keith?
Yes, that was very, very well said. I really enjoyed that beautiful statement.
I'll tell you, there's so much. I'm in your website right now. I'm going to tell the listeners, too. You got to check this guy out. Keith, I have a lot of people on my show and a lot of people that I dearly admire and who speak it up, who talk up, beautiful stuff spiritually and everything else that they're doing. I admire Keith. If you go to thedivineprinciple.us right now, people, you're going to see the first thing that strikes me, and this is the truth, man. First thing that strikes me is meditation. I go into meditation, and that's one of the things that you are big on teaching. And I see a picture of a guy who seems so comfortable with himself. Now, that is important, people. Comfort is akin to love. This guy could be a friend of mine. In fact, when I look at you, Keith, at this picture, and I not even just now, but when I first saw your website, and I looked at the picture, I whoa, where do I know this guy from? You look like you could have been a friend of mine at any point in my life. the musician thing, the friendly thing coming out of you, and the deep sort of just a spiritual awareness that is not knocking us over the head with any dogma, but just the acceptance of being a human being. This is really cool. And that says so much about your work. And then, you got your music, there's a movie up there, your book, everything. And it's natural. It's natural the way you put everything together. And, I think that my listeners have got to love this. I know you've got to, especially some of the younger listeners, iTunes Radio, run here. Check out this guy. Make friends with him. You're really going to love what you see there. Tell us a little about where it says the movie here. Tell us a little bit about what the movie. What is that all about, Keith?
Well, now you're getting into my absolute passion. I'm a very passionate man. Everything about my life is passion. Anything I engage in, whatever it may be, I do it passionately. My music that I play with my spiritual band, original band, is passion. And when I play out live with my cover band, I do it passionately. This movie, Do What You Love, a company out of New York, Blue Cast Productions, a couple of years ago, got a hold of my work. They went through everything, and they contacted me saying that we want to do a documentary movie about your life, about your musical life, and how you marry that with your spirituality in your books. This movie, Do What You Love, A Path to Passionate Living, and you can find this at dowhatyoulovethemovie.com, is about my passion now as a spiritual teacher, author, public speaker. I want to empower people with the tools they need so that they are able to live their best life, the life they desire, the life that they deserve. It is my goal, and I don't say this out of arrogance or ego, that what I have to offer you is all you will ever need. I want to be that thorough with my work, and I want to reach people in such a way that they just become the embodiment of bliss.
Yeah.
It does something to me. It gets me jazzed up to know that something I've done, something I've said, looking at a person that has changed them. That gives me the kick. It makes me feel alive. And so the rest of my life is dedicated to flipping switches inside of people to help grow the smile on their face.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what this movie is about.
That is so, oh boy. Smile on one's face, what could be lovelier? And it is like that. It is just, the thing that strikes me, if it's one word, natural, with everything that you do, Keith. Everything is just so easy to look at, to absorb, to breathe in, and this is really great. Are you actually the filmmaker on your movie as well?
No, actually, we did come up with I did come up with some of the ideas. The movie was going to be more about the divine principle, and there's a lot of that in there, the teachings from it, and me giving talks and lectures and so forth. But there's a lot of I'm being interviewed, but it actually shows my wild rock and roll lifestyle, which makes the movie really fun. In the halfway point, we go to Beale Street, which is world renowned for the birth of the blues, and we interview people, asking them if they are living their passion. If so, wonderful. What is it? If not, why? But we go into the bar scene. And I interview people, asking them what they do, and there's a lot of music. It's really, really fun, but there's a lot of seriousness to it about getting in touch with that part of you that is infinite, that part of you that is full of all possibilities. When I ask people, if I do a talk, I ask them to point to themselves. They point to their chest. They don't point it to their head. And I ask them to point to God. They point to the center of their chest. And so now that we're looking at the idea that God and yourself is synonymous, and the only thing that separates you from it is the belief that you are separate or being afraid of pondering the idea that you're not.
Yeah.
Because you can never be separate. In fact, to think such would be arrogance. To think that in our small, finite self, that we can actually sustain this and control our life by being disconnected from the source. That is a very big illusion.
It certainly is. And, you know, the beautiful thing about all of that is that when we actually come to that realization, it is just so easy for us now to create something, even on our inside, that is expressive of the outside. Usually what we do in life, and we know it, you know, we get our clues from the outside. We live our lives on the basis of, you know, what everybody else is doing, and if we want to be a little bit different, that's cool. But see, we always judge things on how it looks to other people on the outside. Well, one of the things, if we're that connected beautifully, synergistically with energy that you're talking about, and I believe it, we can actually create things on the outside that are first created on our inside. We can visualize. We could actually live longer by maybe visualizing ourselves living 500 years. And we might not make it to 500 years, but man, maybe if we were only going to live 75 years and visualizing that 500 years into our future and what it would be like, and now it is an energy experience, and we're learning from that. We shoot it back to our present as a present to our present, and guess what? We are maybe living until 100 years old anyway, maybe adding 25 years to our life, and we keep doing that. We're adding more and more and more. And one of the things that the human race really has to do as a race, getting into that divine energy, is that they do have to live longer, I believe, because it's too often babies making babies on this planet. Before you know it, when you're just starting to get wise, you're gone. And now it's a new generation coming up that's learning the same old things, and it doesn't have to be that way. It should be sages. Let's get back to sages, you know, the long beards and men, you know, and contemplating the greatness of the universe and having the time to do that for 50 years at a time. I mean, I love thinking like that, and we can expand our consciousness by expanding our bodies longer here on Earth as well. And there are probably methods that you know nutritionally, maybe. I'm going out on a limb right now because there's nothing that's indicated here that you're a nutritionalist, but I believe that you probably know of ways to really help the human body in what we eat and also other ways that we ingest things into our body. What are some of these ways that we can help ourselves to even live longer, Keith?
Just having a very simple awareness of what you're taking into your field and into your mouth. Read things. Make yourself smart and aware about what's happening in the food industry. No pointing fingers, but we can look out and about, and there are things taking place. And if you practice an awareness, a simple awareness, read what you're taking in, look out and about what you're taking into your bioenergetic field. Who are the people you're mingling with? Are you being supported? Are you being loved? Are you being nurtured? If not, this is no different than any food poisons that you'd be taking into your own body.
Mm-hmm.
Because energy doesn't stop in your body. I mean, you're constantly radiating light. You're 98.6 degrees of energy. So if you walk into a 98-degree sun one day, you would say, wow, whew, this is a hot day. Well, you are radiating this kind of energy, this bioenergetic field. But equally, you are also taking in energy from other bioenergetic fields. And all these energies are mixing and mingling. So be good to yourself. Be aware of what you're bringing in to your experience.
You know, and there's also another aspect to it as well that I want to run by you here. I'm going to put it this way. You walk down the street, you see somebody that, you're just in that good mood or something, you say hi to somebody. And you can always say hi to the wrong person who's going to say, what are you saying hi to me for? What do you want from me? But usually they're going to say hi back. They're not expecting it, but, you say hi, they say hi back. you get together with your friends and you say, you know what, man, I really like you. Well, the friend is going to say, well, thank you. Wow, I like you too. We bring out the best in people when we ingratiate something about them that we really feel. Getting to this, food. All right, now we know that there's good food, bad food, toxic food, and natural food, everything. We know all about that, but guess what? There's a lot of food out there that could be acting a lot better inside of us if we look at that food ahead of time before we put it in our mouth and we say, I love you. I love you, whoever you are. I love you. Well, that food, I believe that food even has a consciousness. I believe everything is consumed with that consciousness that we're talking about, even a dust speck. And so if we say to that particular whatever, lasagna, all right, I don't know, it's supposed to put pounds on people. But if we say, I love you, maybe that lasagna is going to go down easy and be kind to our inside and say, I love you too, and I know just the way to serve it on the inside as well and help all of those beautiful cells of yours.
I love it.
Yeah, man, I think this is cool. We love this conversation. People, Keith Blanchard, this is one of the best. I love this interview right now. People of Distinction with Al Cole. You're listening to a great dynamic spiritual teacher here, Keith Blanchard, and we've been talking about his website, going in his website. It is just a real divine treat here, and it, it hits everything. It hits music, it hits the movie, and it hits his book and everything that he stands for. The divineprinciple.us. You got to go there. You got to support Keith and the things that he's doing. He is one of the people that is going to be on the mainstream of spiritual thinking, spiritual awareness in our society. You're going to hear a lot about this guy because this guy is really, he's sparking me today, the divineprinciple.us. Before we go into the last section of my show, which I leave for possibility thinking, Keith, let's talk a little bit about your music. You're a composer, a sound engineer, a bassist, guitarist, singer, everything, and you pack it all in here. How do you? What led you to the music thing, and how do you mix the music with all of the great spiritual feeling and energy that you have?
My pop started playing guitar when I was about 11 or 12. Mm-hmm. He was playing country, folk, religious songs, and I just loved it. When I was 6 years old, my mother and father, one of the treats, one of the special things that we had on our budget was they would take us to the VFW bowling alley. Mm-hmm. And I remember clearly that on one particular day, I asked my 10-year older than me brother, Kerry, about a song that he was playing on his radio. And he goes, Keith, I just don't know what song you're talking about. Well, that night, my parents loaded us up on the Buick Skylark, and we took off down the road and go to the VFW bowling alley. And I remember being at the foul line about to throw, a 6-pound bowling ball between my legs, and I actually dropped the ball because out of the jukebox came ripping and roaring the Monkees' Last Train to Clarksville. Oh. That was it. My divine script was laid out, and my life vision was complete. Yeah. I became a musician about the age of 15, started playing in my first bands. Mm-hmm. And then the record deal started haunting me, and I started pursuing that. And but at the age of 24, growing up where I did in South Louisiana, there was not a lot of opportunity there for pursuing music in the way that I wanted. So I moved to Memphis, Tennessee, somehow by grace and passion. And passion will open the door. Passion will ignite grace. Believe me. Yes. I came here passionate. The whole band came here, and I'm the only one left doing it. Everyone else took on everyday jobs. But I stayed with it. And somehow I was fortunate to get into the clique, to use the word. Mm-hmm. And I became very successful in being a professional musician here in Memphis, Tennessee.
Wow. That is great. You know, when you mention Louisiana, I want to throw a name at you here, and I will be stunned if you say, yeah, I know that man. He was one of my best friends. Because there's no reason why you should know. We live in a big country. But I had some recording experiences with this guy. Great sax player, played on some of my sessions. This is going back in the 90s, actually. A guy named Jerry Jumonville from Louisiana, Cajun guy, plays a mean sax. Did you ever hear that name?
I have not. Enlighten me.
Yeah, I'll tell you. This guy's cool. It was just really one session where he came in and he played some sax on one of my tunes called Crazy Eyes, and he just blew it. I mean, right out of the water. I mean, just perfectly. Where he's hitting those high notes. Ba, 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 then and just lingering on that high note there, and then going low. And oh man, he was a monster. One of the best sax players that I've ever heard, and he had a reputation in the business at that point of being one of the best. And musicians come in and out of our lives, people come in and out of our lives, but I never forgot that name, Jerry Jumonville. After all of these years, it's really, really something. So thank you for bringing it back to me again here.
Wonderful.
Talking about Louisiana.
Yeah, my roots.
Yeah, we love that. The divineprinciple.us, that's part of our roots here, people. Today on People of Distinction, Keith Blanchard, spiritual teacher. He's the author of The Divine Principle, Anchoring Heaven on Earth, and we've been talking all about it. And again, go to this website, support what he does, order that book, The Divine Principle.us. That's where the action is. And we're going to cap off this wonderful show with some possibility thinking here, Keith. We're going to talk about it from two areas. One, the predictable possibilities on your plate for the future, and it could be, legacy stuff. You've done legacy stuff already, and maybe there's still some passion points that you want to get to that you really know that, boy, I got to get to these things, and we want to know about what some of those are, as well as the possibilities of our human family into the future based on their grasping what you have talked about, what I've talked about on this great edition of People of Distinction. When our human family starts to live it out the way that we've been running it down, what kind of world will we have? What kind of human family will we have at that point? Those two aspects of possibility thinking. Big questions here, but man, you're a big guy, and you can handle that stuff. Let's hear it.
Well, for me, my life is about empowering people.
Mm-hmm.
Realize that there is a place, a space, a very real, tangible place that lives inside each and every one of us.
Mm-hmm.
And when we align with that place, you can begin to manifest your life with mere thought, at will. If you believe that God is omnipresent, omnipotent, and all-pervading. If you can imagine, the closer you get to God, the more you know if God is all-knowing. If God is all-powerful, then the closer you get to God, the more power you get. If God is omnipresent, then it makes sense to me that the closer you get to God, the more you become liberated. You begin to feel yourself as part of that omnipresence. My life is going to take me, in a very short amount of time, to being in the public mainstream. And I say this with absolute confidence because I know the passion that I have inside of my heart. I know the vision I have inside of my third eye. And I know that I will be successful in reaching people to move them from where they may be in their life, that they may feel a lack of bliss. And it will be my task to move people into that level of existence. I will do that. I am the guy next door. I am the guy that you can literally call, though I may be a part of, quote, an elite group of teachers. I don't act or see myself that way. Yeah. I really, really care about people. I like extending my hand because the reciprocation of that, there's a balance in the energy in that. My future from my work is to continue to write books, more movies if that's necessary, but definitely more music that will uplift and empower people and bring healing in their lives. as far as taking that to a broader level with the human family, I think we're getting it. It may seem slow. There's a lot of tension in the world, the North Korea event, but don't look at it with judgment, because you're feeding it fuel. See it for what it is, and we simply need to make just a different choice. Just make a different choice. In fact, as you said so wonderfully earlier, kiss North Korea. Make love to it. Massage it.
Yeah.
The pot has to be stirred so that the cosmic scooper, no pun intended, the Big Dipper, can scoop the mess out, so that once everything settles, we will find ourselves living the prophecy of heaven on earth. It wasn't prophesied heaven on earth to be on a future occurrence or to not ever happen. It is here now. It is here now. And the future, that's all going to solidify. Heaven is going to anchor on earth, but that's going to be in us. It won't require clouds parting. It will require us to part, to find that space inside of us through humility, to be willing to be wrong, to be willing to walk a different path than you have now. And one thing I always say when I make public talks is, if you have any imbalances in your life, any issues as of right now, it would be in your best interest to walk directly into it and resolve that energy. Yes, you may have an old tree in your backyard. You can clip all the branches and eventually have cut the tree down. Or you can pull out a chainsaw and just whack it down and just be done with it. The longer we procrastinate resolving these issues, the faster, the bigger, and the more grand they will show up in your life. And there can come a time when your issue at its largest level will say, hello, remember me? Because we're living in a time where the energy is not only expanding, it's exponentiating. And as everyone on the planet becomes aware of themselves as part of the whole, that exponentiation, if there's such a word, just coined the word, you can write that down, is going to grow in such a way you will begin to see yourself. Whatever self you are living in, you will begin to see it in a much broader and a much more tangible way. So I do support everyone into moving into that aspect of themselves that you know as love, and become that embodiment.
Man, you hit it. You hit it in so many ways, Keith. I love it. And I just got to add something here. You know, when you're talking about quick time, when we know that everybody seems to think, wow, what is this? It's April already. Yesterday it was November. And we are under this quick time. Well, I'm here to tell you, people, this is my take on it. Time is, let's go back to quantum physics here. We could say time is relative. But see, speed of light time is eternal. And we are catching up to the speed of light consciousness of God. So it appears to us that time is going faster. What's really happening is consciousness is expanding. And as it expands, now we understand this, that as the speed of light we approach the speed of light, time starts slowing down. Now, when we're on the outside, it might seem that, wow, what took 100 years for us is only taking, 1 year for this person. Well, that 1 year is God. And it might take 50 years of our time, and certainly more than that, but just to make a point here, to expand to that conscious level of God, that consciousness level. So in order for us to expand that fast, we have to make time go fast here. It's really consciousness. And actually, in the end, time is slowing down. It's our consciousness that's going so fast, it is going faster than the time, the speed of our life. And when we get to that consciousness of God reality, realization of the speed of light, all of a sudden we are at one with, and now, hey, where'd time go? There's no time. Now there's just the realization. There's the being. So that is my take on what's really going on. We are speeding up our consciousness to speed up to the consciousness of God that way. And I'm going to give you the last word.
You can also see it as if God is coming. He's coming because if God is infinite and there's no time, the reason that time is depleting is because we're becoming aware of ourselves globally as one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's speeding up the dynamic, as you said. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful story.
Yeah. Boy, this has been such a beautiful story, an episode of People of Distinction that nobody's ever going to forget. Keith, you have been just magnificent here. And, boy, I'll tell you, I've enjoyed this. This has been just so easy, and the give and take, this has just been wonderful. So people, get into a little bit of that wonder, too, with Keith Blanchard at his website, thedivineprinciple.us. That's where you want to go. And you are going to be sparked to so many wonderful things there, realizations. Thedivineprinciple.us. Order that great book, The Divine Principle, Anchoring Heaven on Earth. Thank you, Keith, for being my special guest here on People of Distinction. Boy, I will invite you back for updates.
I sure
hope great
so.
Work.
I really had a good time. Enjoyed the program. What a wonderful platform.
Thank you so very, very much, Keith.
Hey, it's author, musician, singer Al Cole from a CBS radio background, now to host of the syndicated talk show People of Distinction, a show that brings to light a stunning new concept.